Well, I graduated from Purdue University in 2001, and then I went back to school to get my master's degree through Indiana Wesleyan.
I graduated from IU in South Bend for my undergraduate, and then got my master's degree from Ball State.
I got my bachelor's degree at Purdue in agricultural communications, and then actually made the switch after my first job or two that I wanted to get into education, so went back to Purdue and got my master's in school counseling.
Okay.
Ball State as an undergrad and Indiana University South Bend for my master's degree.
So our first question would be, what are some of the things you guys do that like a lot of people and staff don't know about?
It's a good question. I would say probably one of the biggest things that we do is, an issue will come down to the office, which happens quite often, but we do a lot of conversation amongst the group of us to make sure that whatever the issue is, we come up with a decision that's kind of a consensus from everybody. It's easy for one person to make a decision, but when you put more brains together, a lot of times the decision becomes different than the original one, because more minds are greater than one, I guess.
That is probably one of our biggest tasks, right? To make sure that everybody's in the right place from 7:30 to 2:30. But we have numerous conversations every day with students. Honestly, it's incredible the amount that they trust us with and that they ask us about. Their relationships with friends, significant others, family, and a lot of those times we're just having genuine conversations with them about life and kind of how to look at it. Again, there's other kind of responsibilities and things that we have, such as testing, and I think that's, people see that on the surface. But right now, our office is currently working to help many families during the Christmas season. And that's how we like it a lot of times, right, is that we do those things for others and we just want to put that in place for them, not necessarily needing the glory from it, but just taking care of families and students.
We got to organize the school day, and we have to work on the budget and all these things that maybe people know about, but really the big part of our day is just being around people.
I always tell students at different points, being here at McCutcheon's about being a part of activities, being a part of clubs, English, math, whatever, but it's also a place where you're going to learn about life. And my hope is that once you leave here, maybe you tried something and it didn't work, and that way the next time that you do it, well, that's probably not the direction I need to go. So it's a lot about life too. Chocolate.
Chocolate for me, for sure.
Chocolate. I'm going to say vanilla.
Chocolate.
Oh.
The students, of course, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's 100% true. I think I can speak for everybody in this room that we decided early on in our life that we wanted to be involved in schools. Obviously, we all went to different schools, have different backgrounds, but the biggest thing to do is help kids. I mean, that is our ultimate goal. The way we help sometimes looks different. It may not be what the student thinks is helpful, but we have drawn from many, many, many life experiences that we've had, whether it be in our own personal lives, lives of our family, of our friends, but also lives that we've drawn from kids that we've dealt with over the years. It's amazing how many times I can help deal with a situation because I've had it before with a student, and I can draw from that experience to help somebody new.
I'll give just an example in our office. I mean, we have many students coming in to see us individually, but we also have TAs that are with us during the day as well. Some of my favorite conversations are just going out and sitting with them, or students that come in my office, they're there to see me, but I may pull another counselor in to talk to them as well. It's a lot of fun to hear from their perspective what life is looking like right now, and the fact then that they trust us with that and that we're able to kind of add some things to it. But just being able to honestly sit and chat with a student is probably one of the greatest things in my job.
Well, I think that probably the best part of my job is talking with seniors. They've got a great perspective at McCutcheon after spending 3 years here. And I always say that some of our best ideas come from our seniors. And we've mentioned that we like to give our perspective to them, but for my world, I talk with teachers and parents and students a lot, and they give us a lot of perspective of just ways to make things better, their appreciation for what we are doing for them. And so we're really, educators are really all about conversations. It's really what it comes down to.
Well, ultimately, I hope that my impact on kids is so that they can learn how to, I guess deep down all of us is we're impacting kids in making their futures better. Whether it's, for me, like learning how to interact with people a little bit better or make better decisions in terms of interacting with students, staff, whoever it might be. But at the end of the day, even a punishment that comes from my office, I try to tell kids, in the big grand scheme of things in your life, is pretty small. A kid might be upset because they got a detention or they got a suspension from school, which is serious, and we want them to take it seriously. But if you compare that to what will the consequences be down the road, whether they get fired from a job or they, don't pay their electric bill and their lights get turned off, or whatever it might be, not taking care of those responsibilities, those consequences are much greater. And so if we can give small consequences now that might seem big to them, but they learn from that, then they're going to be better equipped to be successful in the future.
I think for me, impact is hard for me in my position to be judged immediately. I know as a teacher, I felt like I made an impact every single day on many kids that I have in my classroom. I see them every day, I deal with them every day. The relationships are probably more concrete than they are as you're an administrator, because you just don't see the same kids every day. And so I think my big impact comes from working with the group of people that we work with, forming plans for kids that maybe they don't even know are happening, but we can see them kind of come together over time that benefit them in the end. Whether that's scheduling, or whether that's programs that we've offered through the school, or whether that's just simple one-on-one conversations that we have. They walk out of our office, we don't necessarily know how they're going to impact them at that moment, but we can see how the culture of the building changes over time when some of these decisions are made.
I agree. I think just the self-confidence in knowing that they can do it, or maybe the fact that they can cope and get through a moment. Again, I think there's students that think, I don't know how this is going to get done, I don't know how I'm going to graduate, I don't know. And I think just being able to kind of enable them to know that you can do this, and giving them that self-confidence.
So in present day, are you for IU or Purdue?
Ooh.
That's an easy one.
That is an easy one.
Simple question.
Simple question.
IU.
Purdue.
Oh, Purdue.
Okay.
But you got to root on Tennessee, right? Like, you got to have part of your heart there.
So we have a Purdue person that leans towards IU here, is what she's saying.
Yeah.
3-1 IU if you're keeping track.
I don't necessarily think that's true.
You don't cheer for Rob?
No, I don't think it's. I think it's 2 for 2, but 4 for 4 that we all cheer for Rob.
Okay, well said.
That's fair.
Who plays for IU?
Yeah.
So you guys work a lot with students, and through that you also do other things with them, like clubs, activities. And I know every year seniors go, freshmen come in. Does it ever get emotional when a student you've worked with for a while kind of heads out into the real world? Does it ever get difficult?
It does. And I think, again, when we all mentioned in the beginning, like, we do this for students, we believe in them, obviously K through when they get to our building, and then to watch them during that 4 years to graduate and move on to the next step. I always tell students there's no 13th grade. There's nothing beyond this that is concrete. From this point, then you get to pick what that path is. And thankfully in this building, we're able to give them some opportunities that they can decide what that next step is going to be for them. But it's hard. I mean, I can remember some of my first students 16 years ago when they graduated. It was a big deal, so it's a lot of fun.
We are, McCutcheon, I think we pride ourselves on being a school that is full of a lot of mentors. And so it's easy not to have relationships when you choose not to get to know people. But we have a lot of, I think just about all of our teachers and coaches and administrators, counselors, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, we really stress that it's important to get to know your kids, your students. And so therefore, to answer your question, yeah, when you get to know people and they leave, there's a happiness that you're proud of them and that you've created some independence, but there's also a little bit of sadness just because you've enjoyed being around that student. We get to know these kids in 4 years.